Alright everyone, it's time for today's first video. We gotta talk about the potential extradition of Julian Assange. The case, of course, endlessly appealed for some time now. It's being appealed, I think, though, for its final time, and I can't honestly see why they would change their minds now. The UK is preparing to extradite Assange to the United States to face bullshit charges of, I don't exactly know what they intend to charge him with. He faces 175 years in prison for it, so I don't think he cares at this point. He's been in prison anyway for an extended period and in total isolation in the Ecuadorian embassy before that, so he's pretty much, I think, given up at this point any hope that he's ever free. The real problem is, let's say that you dropped everything against him. The UK says, well, there's no reason to even hold him. Fuck, he's free to go. He'd get black-bagged by CIA agents or shot by an assassin the second he walked out of Belmarsh anyway. They wouldn't attempt to defend him. Nor, by the way, would the gangsters that shoot him ever be identified. It'd be a little bit like Epstein or anyone else. By the way, Maxwell, her cellmate claiming she was offered money to kill Ghislaine Maxwell. Yeah, you didn't see that one on CNN now, did you? The fact is that this is just another example of the dirty dealings of the lame establishment of the legacy political complex. Julian Assange did absolutely nothing wrong. He's not a hacker. He's a journalist. He arranged material, at one point was in open coordination with the U.S. State Department to redact things and warn them ahead of time about a potential leaked release from a rogue employee because it could get people killed. He did his journalistic responsibility. He starts Wikileaks up, and Wikileaks releases things that the state thinks should be secret, but that the people have a right to know. We need more transparency in our governments. I've argued now for years that one of the biggest problems is that the lack of transparency we have really lends itself to propagandistic fodder by the enemies of the Western world, because they can say, oh, look how crooked they are. They capitalize upon this material. But if the transparency was here, you wouldn't have to have WikiLeaks in the first place. And I love it how Julian Assange got caught up in the Russia hoax stuff too. Well, Julian Assange released material on Hillary Clinton, and ergo that helped Trump, and ergo, because he helped Trump, he must be under the thumb of Vladimir Putin. And these people have such a short, stupid attention span, they're not even capable of going back a few years further in time to when he was releasing a bunch of documents on the Russian government. Some Russian asset. I guess he bites the hand that supposedly feeds him. Over years and years and years of non-stop investigation into the function of WikiLeaks, the detention limitlessly of Assange, and constant investigation into every aspect of his life, and every charge against him has been bullshit. Do you remember? I do fondly, because I actually kept up with the story, unlike the low-info lemmings that comprise much of the public. Do you remember when Sweden also wanted him extradited there to face charges of sexual impropriety? And then it was completely dropped because it turned out that it was full of shit. There was literally no evidence. They kept up that shtick for years. The fact is that the U.S. is keeping up this shtick now and has for years as well, despite the fact that WikiLeaks has broken no law, releasing information that a third party has given you with, your journalist, so that's sort of the point, is not illegal in the United States. But Assange somehow is held culpable for what WikiLeaks does, even though it's not illegal. CNN has done this. MSNBC has done this. In fact, in yesteryear, virtually every legacy media outlet at least attempted to conduct some degree of journalism. It's called investigative journalism, looking into what the government is doing and telling the public that, hey, something here is not right, has been considered a good thing, generally speaking, until very recently in human memory. We're slipping down a slow road to fascism when a segment of the population literally does not want to be told the truth. I think that that's scarily dystopian. They literally do not want access to what their own government that they pay for, that supposedly represents them, is doing. And it's predicated partially on the Russia hoax and similar things at China and so forth, partially on that, and partially on partisan politics. Western politics has become so blatantly hyper-partisan that if WikiLeaks releases something during a Republican administration, and trust me, the Democrats are not the first ones guilty of this, I'll get to that in a moment, Then all of a sudden they cry foul, oh my god, Julian Assange is a socialist, he's helping out the evil Democrats. Vice versa, if Biden's president or Obama's president and something is released showing, hey, something's screwy here, here's a spying program you didn't know existed, here's the ins and outs of a FISA court and its 99% hit rate on spurious charges. Here's an example where the Pentagon compiled this 10-page list of massacres by drone that it had been involved with, and it's all very hush-hush. Then all of a sudden they have a problem with it. Oh my god, if they're attacking a Democratic administration, they're no friend of mine. You're just being told the truth. I would think it wouldn't matter what administration was there or what nation was targeted. Have you ever heard of the Panama Papers? Yeah, there's a reason that dropped out of the news cycle real fucking quick, by the way. Look it up. If you can find any accurate information through Google and Bing and other mainline sites and their algorithms, then I'll be very surprised. You might have to use Startpage or Ecosia to search for that. Or, by the way, hate to tell you, Yandex. That's a Russian, literally. Do you remember, because Tarl remembers, Pepperidge Farm is the only other party that does. Do you remember back during the Bush administration when some of the classified military materials there were being released by Wikileaks? I do seem to recall that Julian Assange at the time was cast off as being a crazy left-winger. Sort of like with 4chan and Bill O'Reilly's shtick about the internet hate machine. Those were fun times as well. Apparently the far left becomes the far right the second that they meme about you. Julian Assange, if he's extradited, and he probably will, although I think the lower court didn't want to extradite him. They went along with the Assange defense's line that, sending him to a U.S. prison amounted to torture under European law, under UK law, because the prison system is so dysfunctional. Limitless solitary confinement, huge amounts of punitive punishment within prisons, lots of gang activity, things that, they're still present in the UK, but to a lesser degree. And then you look at the prisons in Finland or something like that. I bet Julian Assange wishes he had made it into a helicopter and managed to land in Stockholm, because right now his cell would have 5 rooms. By the way, their recidivism rate is actually lower. Maybe we should take a look at this for some of the lesser non-violent felonies out there. Oh, fraud? You can do your community service, but we won't torture you in the meantime. Maybe you'll even work harder, or you'll gain a new skill that doesn't involve grifting off of other people. There's something to be said for European prison reform, I will say. The U.S. is still living in the 19th century, unfortunately, when it comes to non-federal prisons. If Assange is extradited, by the way, he'll probably be killed. He'll be probably Epstein. I don't mean to draw a comparison between him and Epstein. That's not the point. But he will probably succumb under odd circumstances that are beyond belief, that would boggle the mind if the official story that comes out were true. Yeah, the camera shut off, and the guard just happened to have really bad diarrhea. It was burrito night, and so he wasn't there for like 5 minutes. And the cellmate, he was busy doing other things. He was in the sick bay because he ate the burritos too, so there was nobody else around. And the cameras turned off, both in and outside, for several minutes. And the computer that was logging everything that was happening there, including the shut-off, that got fried, unfortunately. It got bleach-bitted. It got bleach white. And we found him with we think that he strangled himself somehow. Yeah, I know, it's a medical miracle. It turns out he has some genetic condition. He was actually capable of killing himself that way, unlike a normal person. You'll have something like that that'll be very transparent, very obvious, just like with Epstein. He did not kill himself. He was assassinated. And the deep state is covering its ass. They're afraid of Julian Assange. They know that if he gets out, and if he didn't get killed immediately right on Belmarsh's front steps, and he tells all, that would be a little bit of a problem now, wouldn't it? The other part is they just want to punish him and grind him down as much as possible to try to keep other people from doing investigative journalism because they'll think it's illegal. It's not, but the government is capable of dragging you through the ringer because it has limitless prosecutorial power. It has a limitless budget, can literally take your tax money and prosecute you with it. And this is why we desperately need to shrink government all around the entire civilized world and let people get back to business again and stop things like this. It is no crime or sin to tell people that they are being flat out lied to, as Assange and Wikileaks have done many, many, many times, and Wikileaks continues to do even now. That's about all. Peace out.